Hi guys, this is Connie, back for some more Connie Reads The Dogs of Winter. We are now technically at part 2, which is chapter 38. See if I can switch this up. It's titled Malchik. Winter came early that year. Winter came and people left the Ferris wheel park. The food stalls closed. The garbage cans were all but empty. The big duck pond where we'd found the delicious eggs and where the dogs had occasionally managed to catch a duck or two iced over. My sweater was in tatters from living in the tree for months. I had outgrown my boots. I had no coat. Every day it was colder, and every day I said to the dogs, "We have to leave." But still we stayed in our home beneath the tree. And then the snow came. It did not come in gentle fits and starts like the winter before. It did not do us the courtesy of coming with patience. One day it was not there, and the next morning it was everywhere. We woke to darkness. The air in the den beneath our tree was close and wet. I untangled myself from Moon and Rip and felt my way to the opening beneath the tree limbs. My hand met snow. I felt all around the circle of the tree's wide skirt. Everywhere, snow packed thick against the limbs. My heart beat hard in my chest. Rip squeezed next to me and sniffed the snow wall. He whined and then barked. Another bark and then scratch, scratch, scratch on the other side of the snow wall. Little Mother and her children began digging on our side of the wall. Snow flew in all directions. And then light! Light and a big black nose pushed against my face. We shoved and tumbled our way out of the den and into the gray light. Lucky jumped up and down, his plumed tail wagging, his tongue swiping the side of my face. He chased Moon and Star through the snowy meadow. Smoke and Little Mother licked each other's faces. Rip crawled into my lap and looked up at me with smiling eyes. The meadow was a stranger now. I could no longer see the stream's course or the rocks where I'd sat every night and watched the stars. The trails that I knew as well as I knew each of the dogs were gone. The deer skull was mostly covered in snow. Only the black holes of the eyes were visible. I stared at the holes. They stared back. Rip nudged my hand and whined. I tore my eyes away from the skull and looked into his worried eyes. "I know," I said. "It's time." And so it was. The dogs and I left our home in the forest and made our way back to the city. As always, the people of the city hurried this way and that, huddled in their coats, slipping and sliding on the ice-crusted sidewalks. Here, no birds sang. My eyes were hungry for trees, for open spaces. Here, the tall buildings and the tumble-down buildings pushed in on one another. I coughed and pinched my nose against the foul smells. Car exhaust, unwashed hair, smoke tracks, rotting garbage, sewage. We passed children and bums sleeping and begging in the shop doorways. Their eyes widened as we passed. One called, "Hey, what are you?" Another called, "I smelled it coming a mile away." We did not stop. We did not look left or right. I curled my fingers around the knife in my pants pocket. Moon pressed close to my legs. The other dogs kept close too. A large mangy dog growled and snapped as we approached. His ribs rippled beneath patches of fur and sores. The dog stood in our path, daring us to pass. Smoke and Lucky closed in front and stopped. They raised their tails and narrowed their eyes and growled. I took out my knife, narrowed my eyes, and pulled my lips back from my teeth. A long, low, warning growl rumbled in my throat. The dog blinked. He looked from Smoke and Lucky to me. I growled again. The dog dropped his tail and slunk away into the shadows. I rubbed Lucky and Smoke's sides. They licked my hands and wagged their tails. Then we sauntered down the sidewalk to Sokoliniki metro station. I apologize for messing these up again. At first I was so busy raiding the garbage cans in the metro I didn't notice the people staring at me. "There must be more in here," I muttered to myself. "If only I were a little taller." "What is that?" I heard a voice say. I pulled my head out of the garbage can to see what the problem might be. Two women stared at me, their eyes wide with disbelief. One pressed a handkerchief to her nose and mouth. "It almost looks like a child," she said. The other woman shook her head and pinched her nose. "No child ever smelled like that. Certainly no human. It looks like a demon." "I am a boy," I said, my voice croaky from disuse. Their eyes widened again. I held out my hand. "I am just a boy," I said again, in my voice clearer this time. "And I am hungry." Lucky wagged his tail hopefully. Rip tried to dance on his back legs, but toppled over. The women clutched their purses against their sides and hurried away. Their words rung in my ears as I looked for more food. "It looks like a demon. No child ever smelled like that." I sniffed my clothes and my skin. I smelled like the dogs and the earth and the trees. "I smell good to me," I said to Moon and Star. Still, the people coming and going to the trains pinched their noses and looked at me in disgust when they passed. No one would give me money to buy food this way. And that's the end. Oh, we have one more section. That evening, when the metro station was quiet, I slipped into the bathroom for a drink of water. I almost fled in fear from the wild beast glaring at me from above the sink. I bared my teeth. It bared its teeth. I narrowed my eyes. It narrowed its eyes. "What are you?" I demanded. Its mouth moved in time with mine. I gasped and touched my face. It touched its face too. I stepped closer and touched the cold glass of the mirror. "You're me," I whispered. This was not a mother's little Mishka staring back at me. This was not a boy who slept curled into a mother's side and hid in pantries. This was not a little mouse who cowered in fear of the tall boys in chains and black. This boy, staring back from the mirror, had slept beneath a tree with its pack. A boy who ran through the forest swift as a deer and rolled with delight in mud and the sweet scent of dead things. This boy carried a club and killed a giant pig and howled at the moon with his family. This boy was Smoke's brave boy, his Malchik. I smiled. "Still, we need to eat," I said to myself in the mirror. I stripped off my clothes and scrubbed. The water turned black and my skin turned pink. The scar on my leg from the pig's tusk glowed red. My clothes were in tatters. It was true. "I need to find the Christian ladies and get new clothes," I said to the boy in the mirror. Clothes, food, and a warm place to be safe. That was all we needed to get through another winter. "And then we'll return to the forest," I said. My mind whirled with a plan, and I slipped on my clothes, my 2 small boots. Clothes from the Christian ladies. More people mean more money and more food. I took the knife from my pocket and pulled open the blade. I pried twigs and dead leaves from the long snarls in my hair. I grabbed a greasy lock covering my eyes and sawed it back and forth with the knife. I grabbed another and another until hair blanketed my feet. "And to keep warm and safe, we will again ride the trains," I said to the brown eyes in the mirror. The eyes that stared back from the mirror did not belong to a demon, or to a wild beast, or to a mother's little bear. They were the wary, cunning eyes of Malchik. And that's the end of chapter 38. Be careful with that and enjoy. Please and thank you, and I will see you for the next chapter. Bye.